Hiya and welcome to Wellbeing Wednesday. This week I'm going to show you how to make a rocket stove like this one. So first I'll take you through the tools you're going to need. A drill, biggest wood drill bit I've got, a chisel and hammer, a knife, ball of string, pen, and an axe. You're also going to need a block of wood. As you can see from the one that we're going to make, this is a piece of like a pallet block. Okay. So, and a heat source, some wax and something to melt it in. You can use just a candle and something to catch the molten wax in as well. And you might also notice I'm wearing gloves, some safety glasses, hot stuff, sharp stuff, and me. So not the worst idea. So let's crack on. So to start making that rocket stove, start with a piece of wood. I've got the block that hold pallets together. As you can see, it can actually chipboard, so it doesn't have to be proper woody, but it's still nicer. If you can also use just a log out of the back logs that you buy for the fire. So our rocket stove is going to have like a chimney on the inside of it, and that's be kind of that shape. If you can see there. So like an L shape, but it's kind of dipping down a little bit. And that just allows any bits of like the tinder and kindling that's keeping it going to sit in the bottom. So the first thing I'm going to do is mark out the top hole. These aren't exact, so they can be quite rough. So you can see there's a square on there. I should perhaps have got a better pen. And then I'm going to look at the depth that I'm going to go to. So I'm going to limit that by the length of the drill. So I can see the bottom of the drill goes to here, so there's no point trying to go lower than where I can drill to. And let's go for that smiley face thing again. So you can see there I've drawn like the face on, and we'll see how it looks later putting those eyes in. And I'm just checking the edges of where I intend to drill on the front. Sit within the square at the top, and that'll make a lot more sense later. So, time to do some drilling. You're also wearing gloves. I've also got safety glasses. Not because I'm responsible, but because people are looking. So you can see I've drilled a hole at each corner, and they're going to link up so that I've got like an outline of drilled holes. So you can see I've got holes close together, and there's also some that have linked by just wriggling the drill side to side. It's a bit messy. But the next step now is to put the bottom ones in, and the idea is that the holes around the mouth will link up with the top, and then we'll be able to pull that section out when we've got space across the bottom. So again, I'll start with the corners. There we go. And then again, it's a case of filling in that space with other holes. And you can see our holes are there. So now, just to link those together, I'm going to get a chisel. My biggest one's 24mm. Whatever you've got. Then I can either use it to carve away, or I can get the hammer on. Obviously this would be a bit different if it was grained wood rather than a block. And it's the digging motion with the chisel that's making it, that's starting to create that slope down. And you can see that's becoming like a fuller hole. Another way of getting in there is using a knife. Okay, so I'm now going to do the top, which is just the same thing really. That wasn't supposed to happen, but we can fix that later. I'm actually going to use the drill some more diagonally. So you can see it's nearly like a piece I could pick up and pull out. So I went back to my toolbox then because I've just remembered that I bought these sawing drill bits, which are much better for the task in hand. So you'll notice this isn't about being pretty, it's not about being precise. It's just about getting a hole in the middle. So we'll give him those eyes. The eyes don't do anything, by the way. I just put them in because they're fun. So you might be wondering why I've had this little stove running. The reason is that to finish this off, we put a bit of wax in the bottom and make a little wick to light it. So that's to melt the wax. So there's still some wax in there from last time. And I'll just sit that on there and let it melt. In the meantime, I'm just going to chop a little bit of kindling, because even though it's a stove in its own right and it'll burn itself from the inside out, you do need to keep adding a little bit in, just so it's got something to burn against. So just some smaller bits of kindling there are good, and we don't need a lot of that. Just a few bits. Now, if you remember, we said we'd fix the bit here that got broken. So I kept the pieces to one side. I'm just going to pour a bit of that wax on and use it as a glue. So the easiest and most convenient way for you to melt wax at home is just to burn a candle. You know, catch it in the bottom of an old tin or something. Let that melt some more, and I'll scrape up some of what I spilt. Okay, so whilst that wax is melting a little bit more, I'll show you what I meant by the wick. So I'm literally just going to get a piece of string, and I'm going to dip it in the wax. So there's my wax soaked bit of string. Wrap it around something for a bit of weight at the bottom. Just for fun, let's poke it out one of the eyes. That can be where we light it. So we need to start a fire with a bit of tinder, build up some kindling that's a bit bigger before it goes into its fuel. So I'm just going to take some wood shavings. It really doesn't take a lot. Drop them in the bottom. Pour a bit more of that wax on and just let it set. Whilst we've got all the equipment out, I might as well show you how to make one of these, a buddy burner. These things are great for travelling. You get plenty of heat over them to make a brew, cook something that's sort of dehydrated in a little pot, and will keep you nice and warm. They're self-contained, so you know, if you're wild camping, just set it on top of a stone or something. Also use them inside here sometimes. Yeah, that can generate a lot of heat. It'd be a really nice stove. So yeah, a great thing to make. So you can see that that one's just made. So let's go back in time to see what you need now to make it. So to make our buddy burner, we're going to need some pieces of cardboard cut into strips. I've got 3 pieces, they're about 30 centimetres each. Tuna tin. So be careful to like smooth it off on the inside, it's not still sharp. A pen and a heat source. Something that you can melt wax in. And of course, some wax. If you're doing this for the first time from home, you can do it with just candle wax. Buddy burners are great because you just light them and they're a great heat source. Keep going for a long time. If I'm going for a 1-night bikepacking trip, I always take a buddy burner because it's nice and contained. I can cook on it. It'll keep me warm for a bit, and then I can just throw it away. No gas bottles to carry, no extra fuel to worry about, and it's small. So the first thing I'm going to do is roll up my pieces of cardboard. But the first thing I'm going to do is on one piece I'm going to write down an insecurity. I'm going to roll that up. On the next one, I'm going to write something that I'm proud of. Might seem a bit odd, but I like to do this because when I'm burning these, which is usually mid-adventure, it's literally fueled by my strengths and my weaknesses. It's a nice little reminder of that. And it's also a good way of putting all of those negatives out into the world without it harming you. So there we have it. You see there's a point there that's sticking up a little bit higher. So I'm going to make sure that goes into the middle, because that's essentially going to be like my wick, where I light it from. I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to sit my little chunky homemade pot on top of the fire and drop in some chunks of wax and let them melt. So I'm going to pour some of that wax over, get it to about halfway. So there's 2 reasons for putting that wax on in 2 stages like that. One is that it gives it more opportunity for the wax to soak into the cardboard, and by pouring it in 2 stages, it prevents you from getting like air bubbles and dimples in the middle of it. The second reason is that I'm impatient and I don't like waiting. We're going to top up now. and I'll bring you closer to it so that I don't spill hot wax all over the place. You can see there we have our buddy burner.